Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'll just do a panning shot just to show you where I am. I'm in this magical location here in the suburbs of northwest Sydney, and I'm between Northmead and North Rocks. So I'm just going on a Sunday morning bushwalk. It's starting to sprinkle, so I may have to cut this a little bit shorter than normal, depending on how heavy the rain is. But I've probably got about a half an hour to get back to the car, so we'll just see how we go. Anyway, welcome to this episode, and it's just a lovely place to be, being out and about with nature, being one with nature, and being able just to clear our minds of all the troubles and challenges that we all invariably face on a daily basis. So it's apt for us today to go through a book summary which is entitled Happiness is the Way. And it's a book that was written by Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's a profound writer and presenter who has since sadly passed away, but his legacy carries on through his material, through his family, and through his followers. He's written a number of books, and I remember reading quite a few of them when I was in my 30s, and they all have a very special message, a message which resonates with me at least, and hopefully a message that will also resonate with each and every one of you. So let's just cross over the creek. Don't know how high the water is today, but hopefully I'll be able to get across there without getting too wet. Yeah, looks all okay. So I've got some steps to take me down. I'll cross over and I'll join the track on the other side. So today I'm on a track called the Echidna track, which is a loop which will get me from one side to the other. And as you can see, it's been raining throughout the night, and we've got a gentle flow of water, which is ever so nurturing and just beautiful to listen to. So Happiness is the Way is a book that's basically going to focus, of course, on a topic that interests each and every one of us, because we all want to be happy. We're all pursuing happiness to a certain extent. And Wayne kicks off the book with a very powerful, profound saying, a quote where he says, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change as well." So it's all about attitude. It's all about how you see things rather than how things really are, because different people have different perspectives. Some people see the negative in everything, other people see the positive in everything, other people get to have a balanced view that can work both the positive and the negative and use it to learn and to understand where the threats are and where the opportunities are. But Wayne reminds us here that happiness is something that is available to each and every one of us every moment of the day if we choose to. Because he says happiness is something that you can have it, he says. You can have it if you decide to have it. Now, there are people who are just happy all the time. There are people who are happy all the time, and as we said, there are people who are miserable all the time. And what Wayne is saying is that happiness is a decision. And I remember reading this many years ago and making the decision myself to rather than being cynical to the world and to life, to try and identify and be happy with what I've got. And I remember my Uncle Arthur once saying that when I was a kid, I'd be the sort of kid that if you filled a box with horse manure and you put under the Christmas tree, I'd open up the box and I'd be digging through the horse manure, saying out loud, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. So that's a lovely sort of description of how we should see the world and try and look for the opportunity, try and look for the positivity in everything that goes on around us. So Wayne Dyer goes on and talks about another powerful metaphor, a metaphor which is transformative. And if you haven't heard it before, it's one of those metaphors that will stick with you for life. And he says that when you squeeze an orange, what comes out? When you squeeze an orange juice comes out. Because what comes out is what's inside. So stick with me and we'll go to the next aspect, the next element of this metaphor. So he says that when you squeeze a lemon juice comes out. So when you squeeze an orange, sweet nectar comes out. When you squeeze a lemon, the sourness comes out. And he says that what comes out is whatever is within. And he says similarly, when you squeeze a person, when you pressure a person, what comes out? And he says it all depends. It all depends what's inside. Some people have got joy and happiness and love inside them. Others have got bitterness, hurt and pain inside them. So when they're under pressure and they show their real self, or when they're drunk and they show their real self, that will give you a guide. That will give you an understanding of that person's true character, how they're made up. So he goes on to say that we all need to make a realization that everything in the universe is exactly as it should be. So we should stop judging, stop trying to change things, and accept things as they are. And at the same time, we can choose to accept ourselves and also accept that we can grow, develop and become better, become more capable of dealing with our surroundings, given that they're fixed, and being able to maneuver up, down and around and getting through, over and solving the challenges, the problems that we face throughout our lives. He goes on to say, and he goes on to mention that there are 6 things that we are not. And it's the sort of things that most people chase in their lives. But what he's saying here is that these six things which you think are defining are not all that defining and don't define who you are. So you are not your name. You know, your name is something that's been attached to you, but you are not your name. You are not your body. Is the second one that he says. You know, your body's your body, but you aren't your body. You are not your mind. You are not your job. You are not your relationships. You are not your race, your religion, or any label that you may accept or place upon yourself. He says that we are more than that. We are a intelligent soul that that combines with everything else to, I guess, express who we are, but none of those limiters, none of those things that you can touch and feel or write are who we are. We're more than that. We are all more than all of the labels and all of the physicality that comes with it. So he goes on to say that we basically need, as intelligent human souls, to send love out to all the negativity that we have in the world around us, and not to be, as I said, defined by what people say, the labels, the material things that we have. Sorry, there was a lizard just climbing up there, which spooked me as I was talking and trying to think of what I was going to say next. And to basically use that intelligent soul, that loving soul, to counter negativity with love. He talks about the importance of forgiving ourselves and forgiving those around us for anything that has happened that may have caused pain and suffering in the past. But it's important, as the author says, to forgive. It doesn't mean that you have to forget, but it's good if you can forget as well. But he says that forgiving is very nurturing and very liberating, because if you don't forgive, you end up owning the issue and the pain, and you'll carry it to the grave with you. So forgiving is all about just letting go. He says, just let it go. And I remember hearing my granddaughter, Annabelle, whenever that song comes on, she pelts it out at the top of her voice, and she just loves singing as loudly as she can. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And this is what Wayne Dyer is telling us as well. Just let it go and don't hold on to it, because non-attachment is really important for our mental and emotional and spiritual health. Not being overly attached to things, to people, to labels, to all of those pursuits that a lot of people hold dearly in life. He says that we should no longer be attached to the person or to the behavior. And if you're not attached to those things, then, as I said before, alluded to before, then you're liberated and you are free from those things. So the last point that he makes in the book there is that a lot of people are imprisoned by their fears, imprisoned by their worldview, and they're standing there holding the bars, looking out into the world, and feel as if they are locked up and they just can't get out, can't get away. But Wayne Dyer says that all you have in front of you is the bars that you're holding. You can let go of those bars and just walk around them, and you're free to go and be whoever you want to be. So a very, very powerful, profound lesson for people to think about, because we all have the keys. We all have a set of keys to our freedom, but very few people understand that the lock and the key is in your hand, and it's up to each and every one of us to free ourselves of those things that are keeping us chained up, locked up, and entombed. So I think that's about it. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As you can see, it's a beautiful little bit challenging, the walk, but as long as we know where we're going and we stay on track, I guess it's safe enough. It's the second or third time that I'm doing this in a couple of days, so I'm getting better at it. So yesterday I went that way. Today I'm going to go up this way through the rocks and see what the view is from this side. So you go through a little canyon here, which is interesting. I'd love to do this with the grandkids one day. And you come up to this magnificent rock wall, which goes on for about 20 or 30 meters. Got to be careful here because the rocks are slippery. And you can imagine that in days gone by, there may have been indigenous communities that may have sheltered in this area here under these caves, out of the elements, out of the heat. And I've been able to discover this beautiful track, given that I've lived in this area for over 45 years. It's amazing that COVID-19 opened a lot of people's eyes to the beauties of suburban Sydney and what they could do within 5 kilometres of their home. So there's quite a few beautiful tracks available, and I'm getting better day by day, week by week, and hopefully I'll be able to lead some bushwalks for anybody who's interested, and you too can experience this live as opposed to vicariously via social media and be part of the action. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there, so thank you very much, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now, and I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message of empowerment, where we can talk about things that may come in useful, because you never know when you may come across a challenge, and the solutions that we talk about, the skill sets, the life hacks that we discover through OPE, other people's experience in these book summaries, may come in handy, or if not handy to you or me, may come into handy to somebody else that you or I touch in our lives. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Take care, yasas, and bye for now.